Now why am I in it?
And you could have did it.
See how I get thrown in this?
Hi everyone, it's Greyson and this is Greyson Talks Everything. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you're not new and are returning, welcome back. Do be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And also follow me on Instagram so you never miss the latest updates and when videos of mine are coming out. And to also just like and admire some fan art that I regularly post. Some of that should be showing up on the screen right now. Alright, and the link to my Instagram is always under all of my descriptions. But if you want to know my Instagram tag right now so you can follow me immediately, that should be showing up on the screen right now. Alright, let's get into it. So today, we will be discussing the entirety, and I'll just be explaining the entirety of the MCU Multiverse, or the Multiverse as of right now, ahead of the release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I am seeing Thursday afternoon. I'm so excited, like you don't even know. But yeah, the reason I'm doing this is because basically a couple months ago, I did a video on the Marvel Multiverse, like the comics multiverse, but I wanted to dive into more of what is explained and what is shown of the MCU's iteration of the multiverse. And I thought that would be very interesting. So that's why we're doing this. We're doing this video, and it actually is perfect timing, like just ahead of Multiverse of Madness's release, worldwide at least. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about some multiverse stuff. To comic book fans, the notion that their heroes exist not just in a fictional universe, but in a vast multiverse, a place in which multiple and perhaps infinite universes exist, is pretty old news. There's a prime universe where most of the action and most of the comics take place, but then there are timelines where things turn out differently. In Marvel Comics, there's a universe where Bruce Banner becomes Spider-Man instead of Peter Parker, or where everyone in the world has superpowers, and one where all of Marvel's heroes are talking animals, and some where all the Marvel heroes are zombies. The MCU's multiverse is no longer the purview of a handful of characters and a few movies. Avengers Endgame's time heist might have saved the universe, but it also set the MCU on a much more complex path. Infinite paths, actually, to infinite dimensions and parallel worlds. And these branching timelines and other realities are changing the face of the entire franchise for every Marvel Cinematic Universe hero or villain. Both new and very old. Marvel's multiverse can be a lot to keep track of, even for those creating it. But while all those roads can be confusing, they are important, especially after Spider-Man No Way Home and ahead of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, releasing later this week. This is why we're going to be breaking down the multiverse's most important figures, storylines, and many divergent paths, from Doctor Strange's multiple dimensions, the quantum realm, Loki's many variants, the possibilities of the Darkhold, and much more. Here's everything you need to know about the MCU's multiverse. So, what exactly is the multiverse, in the MCU at least? Well, as laid out by the Ancient One in Doctor Strange and confirmed by He Who Remains on Loki, the MCU exists in a world without end, because the MCU's multiverse is infinite. Vastly different parallel worlds along with vastly different realms of existence all exist. Anything and everything can happen within them, and they can use utter destruction to one another. There are differences between other dimensions and parallel worlds though. Another dimension is an entirely different plane of existence. It's possible to be in one plane while still observing another, the mirror dimension in the Astral Plane, for example. However, if you travel the multiverse and go into a parallel world, you will only perceive the world you currently reside in. If that's confusing, here are a couple of analogies. According to the MCU's multiverse theory, being in another dimension is akin to being in the closet or drawer of a bedroom. And when you go into the closet, you're existing in a different part of your room, i.e. the reality or universe, but you can still see the world/universe you left behind, i.e. the rest of your bedroom. Meanwhile, visiting a parallel world is more like walking into an entirely different bedroom with its own closets and drawers. Imagine if you walked into a different bedroom identical to your own bedroom, except the wallpaper is purple instead of blue. In the purple bedroom, you would no longer see the blue wallpaper of your own bedroom. Your actions in the purple bedroom would impact any and everyone there instead. And each different room, i.e. the universe, is a part of a big encompassing house, i.e. the multiverse. In the MCU, other dimensions sometimes have no ability to impact each other, even when one can be perceived within another. But both parallel worlds and other dimensions sometimes pose existential threats to other planes in the multiverse. Countless dimensions and realities, aka parallel worlds, also mean countless sinister dimensions and threats too. The Ancient One explained that chilling fact to Stephen Strange when he first arrived at Kamar-Taj during the events of the first Doctor Strange movie. And I quote, "This universe is only one of an infinite number, worlds without end, some benevolent and life-giving, others filled with malice and hunger, dark places where powers older than time lie ravenous and waiting." Stephen Strange first saw the true scope of existence when his soul traveled through many dimensions, some beautiful, others nightmarish. His journey took him through wonderfully named planes like the Mandalibus, Axtenaria, Flowering Incense, and Grass Jelly dimensions. These are all visual marvels worth exploring for any sorcerer in training, but thus far, these dimensions have been unimportant in the MCU. The film did introduce 3 vital dimensions to the franchise though. Marvel's Astral Plane exists around and next to the physical Earth realm. Souls in the astral dimension float through the physical world, but the two are not the same place. They are different and independent planes of existence, basically like being a ghost. What happens in the astral dimension does not affect the physical world, but an astral projection can reveal itself to a physical being though, such as when Stephen Strange did that to Dr. Christine Palmer. Time also works pretty differently within the astral dimension. A singular moment can be stretched out so that a dying Sorcerer Supreme can have a long conversation with the next one. In Doctor Strange, we see a discussion start and end before a bolt of lightning hits the ground. This plane of existence also lets those who access it multitask. A body can take a break and rest in the physical realm, while the soul can still achieve tasks like fending off mystic evils or read a book in the astral dimension. Doctor Strange made use of the astral realm while studying the mystic arts, and in WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff used this aspect of the multiverse to study the Darkhold. Finally, it was also within the astral plane where Wanda heard the voices of her sons Billy and Tommy. Though what dimension they currently exist in is yet unknown. Non-sorcerers can access the astral plane, and they have done it so far at other points in the MCU. However, depending on the MCU property, this dimension goes by other names and appears differently. The astral dimension's presence in Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Moon Knight. Sorcerers also frequently access the mirror dimension. This dimension is an exact copy of the physical world it parallels, ever present but unexpected, the Ancient One once said. The real world isn't affected by what happens here. It's why masters of the mystic arts use it to train, surveil, and sometimes contain threats. A sorcerer working to save the physical world can lock an enemy within the mirror world. If the enemy doesn't have a sling ring, which sorcerers use to access the realm, they have no way to get out. That's how Peter Parker managed to tie up Doctor Strange inside the mirror dimension in No Way Home. A mystic arts master might also learn new skills in the mirror dimension that they can use against an unsuspecting, unprepared enemy. And it's the ultimate secret training ground. The mirror dimension is not invulnerable though. Doctor Strange attempted to use it in his fight with Thanos on Titan in Infinity War, but Thanos used the Power Stone to shatter the mirror dimension and turn it against Doctor Strange. And while it can be used for good, the mirror dimension can also be used for sinister purposes. Those who practice darker magic and hide within it train and jail foes inside it too. Their willingness to access another dimension's terrible power also gives them additional strength within the mirror world. The Dark Dimension gets its evil moniker because it houses the cosmic conqueror Dormammu, the interdimensional monster. What it also contains, though, are all the worlds consumed by Dormammu. This fate awaited Earth, but Doctor Strange struck a bargain with the MCU's Eater of Worlds. Earth almost became part of the unnatural dark dimension because a former master of the mystic arts, Caecilius, and his followers fell prey to its promise. The dark dimension is a world beyond time, and therefore a world beyond death. It's so strong it's possible to draw power from it to extend your life in other dimensions. Sorcerers who do harness this dark energy, known as the Dark Force, become more powerful inside the mirror dimension. But it's not just misguided magic users who sometimes draw from the dark dimension. The Earth-born Ancient One used the dark dimension to live for hundreds of years, violating the natural order, and messing with dark force is also a dangerous game for everyone in every dimension. That's equally true for the Scarlet Witch, who ended her time on WandaVision learning the secrets of the Darkhold. This sinister book of dangerous magic is made from some of the dark energy from the dark dimension. We may yet to see more of this evil part of the MCU's multiverse in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. The Astral Plane is a dimension living souls can access, but not one we've ever seen a dead person's soul in. Meanwhile, the connected Ancestral Plane of Black Panther is a realm where a soul goes after its body dies. It's not limited to just the dead though. T'Challa and Killmonger both traveled there while still alive and spoke to their deceased fathers. T'Challa and Killmonger each journeyed to the Ancestral Plane after they consumed the heart-shaped herb before being buried in order to journey there. This ethereal world appeared differently to each of them. T'Challa went to the land similar to his country, but it was a world of unearthly biofluorescence and beauty. And Killmonger went to the home he grew up in with his father in Oakland. When each man woke, far less time had passed on Earth than he had experienced in the Ancestral Plane because time moves much slower there. The Astral Plane and the Ancestral Plane share many of the same traits and are clearly connected, as is another realm of the dead in the MCU. Warning, spoilers ahead for Moon Knight. Mark Spector and Stephen Grant went to the Duat following their death on Moon Knight. There they encountered the ancient Egyptian hippo goddess Tuaret. She told them there that they were not in the afterlife, but merely an afterlife. According to her, many intersectional planes of unearthed consciousness exist. That particular realm of the dead, the one ancient Egyptians believed in, leads to a soul either becoming forever frozen in the sands of the Duat or living for eternity in the paradise known as the Field of Reeds. But Tuaret still knew about the gorgeous ancestral plane of Black Panther. Supernatural beings who live in one realm of the dead soul's home still know and can seemingly visit other realms of the dead. Unlike the ancestral plane, however, there is a way for souls in the Duat to return to the land of the living. Osiris must allow them passage through his gates. If it's possible to move between intersectional planes of unearthed consciousness and existence, it's possible for anyone to return from the dead. Those who die in the MCU appear to arrive in an afterlife connected to what they believe in while alive. And as for the Field of Reeds, it's unclear if all those interdimensionary planes of the dead lead to one singular paradise for all souls. But what does seem clear is that each and every realm of the dead belongs to a dimension that contains all souls and their subsequent realms. When someone uses the Soul Stone, they enter a separate dimension inside the cosmic rock. Thanos went there after his snap in Infinity War. In the Soul World, he met his daughter Gamora as a small child. Professor Hulk visited that plane too, though we didn't see what he encountered in there. And Tony Stark, before he died, saw his young daughter as a grown woman in an in-game deleted scene. The Soul World is not only where people go when they use the Soul Stone, it's where souls go when they die. The Soul World may hold the Ancestral Plane and the Duat. In the MCU, a world beyond life exists. It has many names and takes many forms, and it can be accessed in many ways. But it's all one place, hidden in Marvel's multiverse. Besides all those other alternate dimensions and planes of existence in the MCU, there's also the Quantum Realm, last seen in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Endgame, which houses one of many ways you can time travel in the MCU. And then there's Ta Lo, last seen in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which houses many mythical Chinese creatures. Loki's 6-episode run on Disney Plus took everything we knew about the MCU and flipped it on its head. Because as soon as He Who Remains gave us answers to monumental questions, Sylvie created even bigger ones when she killed him. The show also left some important topics open for interpretation rather than explicitly addressing them. Some valuable lessons Loki taught us about the MCU's multiverse remain true though. The dimension where the Avengers live has an infinite number of parallel universes stacked on top of it. Many of those parallel worlds look very similar to each other, and we know that because of variants and the many versions of He Who Remains who fought a multiversal war, some variants look like exact copies of each other, and their worlds have similar histories, but even those can have significant differences. Loki can, for instance, lose the Battle of New York in one part of the Marvel's multiverse, but win in another. While we have yet to see it outside of Loki, the rules of infinite parallel worlds have major ramifications. For example, Tony Stark is dead in the universe we know, but an infinite number of Tony Starks must still live in parallel worlds. In some, he could be evil, in others he didn't defeat Thanos with the snap, another Avenger did. Other variant Tonys never even became Iron Man. Instead, they died in that cave, or lived the easy life of a genius billionaire playboy philanthropist. The same holds true for every other character, living or dead. Marvel's What If series introduced some of these alternate realities. On What If, Peggy Carter stays in a room instead of leaving it, and because of that, she ends up a super soldier instead of Steve Rogers, thus changing history forever. Those alternate realities / parallel worlds can coexist in peace. It's even possible to travel between them and share knowledge and technology, so long as multidimensional travelers avoid two potentially catastrophic pitfalls. 1. Don't fight with each other, and 2. Don't cause branches in the sacred timeline that keeps every parallel world contained. He Who Remains won a multiversal war against its own variants, possibly and most likely not the first such war, and definitely not the last. Once he and his variants learned interdimensional travel between parallel worlds, some versions of He Who Remains sought to conquer the others. That battle threatened to destroy all of reality. It was nearly the end of everything and everyone in every universe and dimension. To prevent a potential multiverse apocalypse from happening again, He Who Remains organized all of those parallel worlds into one sacred timeline. Thus, variants and alternate realities coexist on top and next to one another in a single loop of time. He Who Remains created the TVA to make sure it stayed that way. If a variant causes a Nexus event, which results in a branch from the sacred timeline, they are ripped from their reality and sent to the void at the end of time. Those branches must be pruned lest they result in another all-out war between dimensions. The TVA is the MCU's most Machiavellian creation. It sacrifices the lives of some to protect the lives of, well, everyone else. It's neither inherently good nor inherently bad, and even similar variants disagree on its merits. Loki ultimately decided that the TVA was a necessary evil, a form of control that kept the worst outcomes at bay. Sylvie did not. She believed the universe and its infinite dimensions want to break free from control. How one world can be so different to the point variants can be entirely different species, looking at you from a safe distance, Alligator Loki, yet not constantly cause branches to the sacred timeline. It's hard to fathom, but that's how powerful a Nexus event is. In every universe, there are Nexus beings. Nexus beings are some of the most powerful and unpredictable figures in the Marvel Universe. These beings are individuals with the ability to affect the universe around them, and in the process, the future itself, making them key figures in the continued progression of the time stream. There is supposedly only one true Nexus being within each reality in the multiverse. With their varied abilities and techniques, Nexus beings can cause entire shifts in the universe, and could even use their powers to cause massive shifts in the multiverse itself. Nexus beings also have the potential to produce unbelievably powerful offspring, who could be powerful enough to stand among the great forces of their universe and rock the cosmos itself. Talking about the most powerful being of Earth-616 automatically brings up Scarlet Witch. A significant part of the Marvel Universe and the Avengers, Wanda is the Nexus being of her universe. As recently revealed in WandaVision and probably will be explained more in Multiverse of Madness, Wanda draws her gigantic powers from chaos magic, which can alter realities. Her hexes allow her to shift probability and thus reality around her and make anything possible without breaking a sweat. We witnessed what Scarlet Witch was capable of in WandaVision, and her powers weren't even at their apex. Besides the Scarlet Witch, other Nexus beings even include Kang the Conqueror, who we're going to be seeing a lot more of in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The parallel worlds of the MCU are no longer limited to only the universes and dimensions created within the MCU and its parent company. Spider-Man No Way Home made non-Disney Marvel movies a part of the MCU's multiverse too, and that mega Spider-Man crossover is just the start. Kevin Feige has already promised Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool will join the MCU, and Sony's Venom Let There Be Carnage added another wrinkle to the franchise crossover fun. It's also been confirmed through Multiverse of Madness teasers that Sir Patrick Stewart will return as Charles Xavier from the X-Men franchise and will finally be crossing over into the MCU through the Multiverse Illuminati. More on that later, with rumors also suggesting that Ian Gruffudd is coming back as Mr. Fantastic from the 2005 Fantastic Four film, as well as Anson Mount as Black Bolt from the short-lived and much despised Inhumans TV show. Marvel's multiverse will only bring more chaos and villains to this Earth's mightiest heroes as the MCU goes forward. From Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and Loki Season 2, the MCU is diving headfirst into infinite possibilities, and with each step the franchise takes down that road, the more complex the many paths get. But knowing where they're all coming from will help keep the road clear moving forward. There are some beings without direct ties to one reality, and whose actions do not even affect any existing universes, yet they could still determine whether or not a certain reality should exist. These beings, ranging from celestials to bureaucratic organizations, could even be considered protectors of one or all realities. This can include Uatu the Watcher from Marvel's What If, who broke his oath to stay on the sidelines and not interfere with the flow of the time stream throughout the multiverse to stop an Infinity Stone-powered Ultron variant. The Time Variance Authority, which Owen Wilson's Loki character Mobius M. Mobius works for, is in charge of protecting the flow of time in the multiverse, a responsibility that Doctor Strange has also assumed for the Marvel Universe. Yet, their jurisdiction still falls at the mercy of an eternal, multiversal, three-headed titan who oversees all timelines, known as the Living Tribunal, who we actually see a glimpse of in a Multiverse of Madness TV spot. After months of hinting at the group's possible inclusion in the film, Marvel Studios confirmed last week that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will introduce the Multiverse Illuminati. From what we can infer, the Illuminati is a cabal of heroes from alternate universes who secretly join forces to assess and stop multiversal threats, with their new and improved Ultron Sentries as enforcers, I might add. The full membership of the Illuminati isn't known at this time, but the members we do know about is Sir Patrick Stewart's Professor X from the Fox X-Men franchise, Chiwetel Ejiofor as the estranged Warlock Mordo, and Hayley Atwell's Captain Carter. We've also seen a now confirmed Captain Marvel variant that's probably Maria Rambeau, played by Lashana Lynch. There are also rumors suggesting that Ian Gruffudd is also coming back as Mr. Fantastic from the 2000s Fantastic Four films, as well as Anson Mount as Black Bolt from the short-lived Inhumans TV show to fill the main Illuminati roster. The Ultron Sentry drones also hint that a variant of Tony Stark might also be a part of the secret multiversal society. One can assume that after Captain Carter teamed up with a diverse group of multiverse variants to help fight Ultron on behalf of Uatu the Watcher, Carter might have taken initiative to form a more stable multiverse team to continue fighting for the safety of the multiverse. So there it is. That is all I have to say on the MCU Multiverse, and that's my explanation of all the aspects, of all the dimensions, of all the realms, and within that MCU Multiverse and the different timelines, etc. I can go on and on as you have seen in the video. But what did you think? What do you think of the MCU's Multiverse so far? Are you excited for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Share all your thoughts down below, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe as always. And again, follow my Instagram so you never miss the latest updates on videos of mine are coming out like this one, and again to admire some fan art. All right. Bye, everyone.